Hey guys, Local here with Azael doing an outside interview. It's the first time I got in the sun in days. What about you?
No comment. No comment. Maybe longer than that. I mean, we were on the well, not really. I mean, I walk my dogs, but during MSI, we were living the dark days, so it's nice to be back in the sun. Yeah.
You didn't have your girlfriend do the work while you're working the night schedule.
You mean walking the dogs and stuff? Well, we both did some. We try to, she does most of the work, to be honest. So, I got to do my part.
So let's talk LCS. We're back, and there wasn't a lot of changes between spring and summer. Is it going to be the boring, there's the top three, and then FlyQuest, Golden Guardians, and no one we should really care about?
I mean, I think it's hard to say, right? I think that some teams that I look at 100 Thieves a lot when I'm thinking of a team that really underperformed as far as expectations, right? So I do think that there is a chance that some of these teams can come back and click, whether it's a change in like how the team is being coached, whether it's a change in like their mentality or things like that. We could see some differences, but I mean, I do think that there is a clear top three. I think that C9, TL, TSM all look definitively the best. So, teams are going to have to kind of make, I think, some pretty big improvements to really be able to kind of bridge that gap, just even based on the level of talent that's on those teams. That's not to say that there can't be upsets or that teams can't jump up in the standings. I'm pretty excited to see how Rune's going to do with CLG. He has played, I think, such a defined style when I was watching him, regionally as well as in play-ins. It's such a hardcore split push style play that I think seeing a team with a more kind of defined identity like that could be kind of fun and seeing how that works. But I mean, for now, I'm definitely expecting it to remain the same top three and kind of hoping for some upsets.
So the meta's been pretty stale regarding the extremely strong solo lane flex picks. One thing I was super shocked by is TSM and TL, they just played, and they went right back into the team fighting style with no one really split pushing. Why is NA still stuck in NA RAM?
So I mean, I think partially when you look at a lot of our top teams, I think that even just champion pool wise, they might not share a lot of those champions. I mean, we saw Liquid; they didn't play that style even at MSI, right? Impact and Jensen are not the Akali, Aurelia, full on flex book style of players. I do think that it is fine to play a different style. I think even the team that I think most people would kind of argue played at least the big flex picks the best would probably have been IG, and that didn't work out for them. For me, G2's main advantage was they had insane flexibility beyond just the meta flex picks, right? The Pike top and things like this coming through. I think that in NA, this has kind of always been the style that people are playing. It's been more about team fighting, and I think people are probably going to be sticking more with that. It'll be interesting to see if anyone is going to kind of break the trend. I guess I do think if there is, at least between these two teams, certainly you would expect TSM to be more capable of playing kind of the flex picks and playing that sort of style. But I don't know, teamfight has always just been so popular in NA, and it feels like every time it's in NALCS, it's especially for the top teams, they feel so comfortable playing that style and just being yep, we're better than you, we're going to go late, we're going to 5v5, and we're going to win.
So TL did make finals of MSI, but does that mean it's okay to play teamfight style? Is it fine for NA to just stay within our own bubble and go to Worlds again with team fighting being our primary win condition and primary way of playing?
So I would say it's less about the region as a whole and more about the individual teams, right? I think for TL, that is clearly their best way to play. I feel I mean, unless they're doing a complete overhaul, let's be honest, when they played the Rise split push stuff at MSI, it looked really bad. It didn't look like they knew how to play around split push. So I would just rather the teams play to their own strengths, right? If you're a set of players and the way that you want to play the game is team fight, and that is what you're best at, then I think you should do that. Being a shitty version of G2 is not going to allow you to beat G2 at Worlds, right? So I think it's on a team by team basis. I think some of the teams are going to be able to be more flexible with those styles than others. C9 is certainly a team that I could see playing more heavily flex picks and playing that sort of split push style, and they've done more kind of out of the NA norm stuff in the past, and that's given them success internationally. But I wouldn't say everyone should fit in the same kind of bubble, because I think how TL optimally plays the game and how C9 optimally plays the game should be two different things.
So both 100 Thieves and CLG made changes, and they're the teams looking to get back into playoffs, looking to get back into contention. Which one are you more excited for?
Excited? I don't know. I mean, I'm excited to see how Rune does. I think maybe more just because I think that he has a defined playstyle, right? And I think that it's going to be interesting to me to see, like, is CLG just trying to essentially have him play how Darshan played, or are they going to actually change the way that their entire team plays for this? Because, their whole style with Rune, like, was all about split push, was all about 1-4, was all about, putting him on picks like the Rise, and allowing him to take all the farm and to get to a point where he just takes over the game. And we haven't really seen any teams in NA doing like hardcore split push win conditions for a really long time. I can think of, I guess, maybe like Broken Blade Jax, in spring a little bit, but I'm struggling to think of like the last time where that was actually like a team had a consistent hardcore split push style, right? Like, it feels like it's been a couple of years. So I'm kind of hoping that we get that, because I do think it's exciting to have diverging styles and different kind of approaches to the game. So I'm hoping that Rune is going to bring that, and that they're not just going to be like, all right, you're team fighting.
I'm a little bit worried about CLG, not because of Ruin, not because of Power of Evil, but their North American player. When you look at Wiggly, Biofrost, Stixay, Stixay have not been impressive ever since they left their like rush hour duos. And Wiggly also pretty disappointing. You really think CLG is going to be able to really kick it into foot push, really get back to that 1-3-1 CLG we're used to?
I mean, I don't know, right? Like, we have to see. I think that, Darshan hadn't been performing well for quite a while, and if Rune is able to perform at a high level, I do have, quite a bit of faith in how PoE has been playing. And as far as their bottom lane, you talk about them not performing since they were with other duos. I actually kind of disagree. I think spring they were quite poor, but last summer, while a lot of the team was falling apart around them, they actually were, like, as far as the laning phase, one of, if not the best performing 2v2 laners, right? And if they could get back to that sort of level of performance, and you have two strong solo laners, I do think that there is, potential for that team to really be competing. And let's be honest, like, it's not as though 4-5 were so far above the rest of the field, right? There was one team outside of the top 3 that was over 500, and they were 10-9. The rest of the teams that made playoffs, 5 and 6, were both under 500. CLG was like, what, 2 wins back? And also, I think, was 0-4 or 0-5 when starting their academy team. Even if they just didn't start their academy team in spring, I think there was a good chance that they made playoffs. So to me, like, it's not some crazy stretch to be like, they could get 6th, right? Like, because they probably should have got 6th or 5th last split if they hadn't done some of the kind of subs that they had done, right? They didn't win a single game with their academy roster starting. So, I mean, I don't think it's a stretch to see them competing for those playoff spots. I think it's a stretch to say that they'd be competing, to win the split. But I think they're totally in the mix for the playoff spots.
Let's be a little bit spicy for our last question. If CLG is going up, who's coming down? Who's actually getting knocked out of playoffs?
I mean, I think, like, well, I guess Optic didn't even make playoffs last split, but like, I honestly kind of feel like they're going down even more. Like, when we were talking about this on the time, Mark, Kobe, and I all kind of thought that, like, we had like a different pick for 10th, and then all 3 said Optic, and we're like, oh no, what happened? And I mean, the thing is, like, it feels like a lot of the other teams that are in that bunch all made changes that people are feeling are going to be, kind of like positive. And Optic hasn't really, changed anything, and it feels like jungle and mid is working for them. It feels like, Dokla hasn't been performing the best, but also the team doesn't play around him when they're picking carry versus carry and stuff. So it doesn't feel like they have changed anything to kind of build confidence in them. And if everyone else is improving, I feel like they're going to be falling down. But maybe I'll be proven wrong.
Thank you so much for the interview, Azael. Any final words for Canadians, for Azael fans?
For Canadians, Raptors in the finals. We the North, baby. Let's go.
I hope you guys enjoyed the interview, and don't forget to sub. Thank you so much to Lowkey community for making this interview happen. If you guys want to support them, the link is going to be down in the bio.